it starts raining and thundering in my area. So this should be for a fun night. Hopefully it won't get cut off. Hey guys. So I am here. It is me, the Blue Smurf, Kosi. It is in fact, and I have my friend Joan McDonald with me. This way.
You're that way? Okay.
All right, guys. Guys, those of you who've been watching the replay have been so wonderful about putting replay into the comments section. So if you're watching the replay right now,
I want to touch your hair. Hi.
If you're watching the replay right now, go ahead and hit it up in the comments section. Let me know replay. If you have any questions, I do go back, guys, and I review the shows to see who is watching the replay to answer any of those questions. What's up, Ashley? All right, guys, I see some people jumping on board this evening. No, I have not lost my crazy mind. I do have an explanation for the Smurf hairdo. We'll be talking a little. Yeah, well, I never had. I lost my marbles 4 kids ago, let's face it. But I do have a valid explanation for this evening. So guys, as you jump on board, I'm seeing some of y'all jump on board. Give me a shout out. Let me know who you are, where you're from, and what's in your Cool Kids mug. All right, those of you with Cool Kid mugs, cheers.
Cheers.
You've got a way better drink on you right now. That's for sure.
Well, I actually got a cup. My cup is from the Kaneohe Yacht Club in Hawaii.
That's my happy place. That just takes me to my happy place.
And it has a margarita in it. Shh.
She's got the better drink. I've got the boring Diet Coke, but that's okay. Oh, hey, guys, jumping up. All right, now we're starting to see some of these comments come on board. We've got Debbie. Hey, Kay, thank you. We've got Susan, Vicky on board. Good evening, Kevin. We've got Ashley with her Mick Ultra tonight. Yes, Susan, this is in fact live. Brian, thank you very much. No Bustelo tonight, guys. Oh, man, what's going on? We've got Terry from Pensacola, Florida. Got a lot of Floridians on tonight. Debbie's got her Cool Kids cup with her soda. Awesome. Thank you, Kenny. Thank you. I decided to, try this look out. I haven't tried it out in a long time. Hey, William. Thank you. We got Johnny V. What's up in the Cozy Talks house? What's going on in New Hampshire? He's not in New York right now. Hey, KT. Thanks for joining us this evening. All right, guys. So tonight I am broadcasting from my Facebook page, my YouTube channel. Hey, Gage, watching me there from my YouTube channel, and also from my LinkedIn page, trying something new out. So, guys, for those of you who are trying to kind of get folks to come watch the show, there's 3 different places they can find me: Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, and all under the name of Cozy Talks. We kept it nice and simple for you guys. So we've got a really interesting show planned here for tonight. This is something that this is kind of going out of my comfort zone. I was talking to Joan about this prior to going live. So this should be interesting. But guys, tonight's show, I want all of you interacting on tonight's show. I want to hear from you. Hey, Benny, he got a new socket. Oh, thank you very much, Benny. All right. Gage got his new X3. Nice. Getting fancy with the LinkedIn. Yes, I am trying to kind of expand my horizon just a little bit, guys. All right, guys.
Portfolio.
Yes. So, folks, this evening, I'm going to first introduce my beautiful guest next to me, Joan McDonald. She is the founder of Socket Socks. And, guys, I am going to be seriously plugging the heck out of her website tonight because she has some of the most beautiful products. All right, so guys, we're going to be putting that into the comments section right there. Check out her website. She is going to be giving you a little bit of her story tonight. And yes, Susan, the blue hair does have quite a bit of significance, and we'll be talking a little bit about that tonight. Hey, Molly from North Carolina. Wonderful. There's my Tar Heel right there. All right, guys, so we're going to go ahead and get started. For those of you who are joining me for the first time, welcome. And no, this is not my natural hair color if you're joining me for the first time. I am a brunette in real life. My name is Kosi Belloso. I'm a physical therapist, amputee specialist here in Tampa, Florida. I've been a PT now for a little over 18 years, and my passion is working with the limb loss community. I have a clinic here in Tampa that's exclusively for working with amputees, and I'm going to let Joan tell you a little bit about herself.
My name is Joan McDonald, and I'm the owner of a company called Socket Socks. Socket Socks is a fabric cover that covers your prosthetic leg. 3 years ago, I lost my leg, and my prosthetist was telling me I had to pick one color. And I had a panic attack. I'm like, what? One color? Well, blue, of course, but one color. Then I thought, oh, wait a minute. I've been designing bikinis for fitness models for over 17 years. I think I can create something with this Lycra. So I started creating these products, and now I sell them all over the world, from kids to adults to below knees, above knees, arms. I'm just loving it. The stories and feedback that I'm getting from customers just make everything worth it.
No, and folks, these are beautiful, very well made products. I mean, you name it, she's got it on there in terms of designs, colors, prints, everything on there. So you should definitely check out her website. She's on Instagram. You can see all of her work that she used to do for the bikini model world. I mean, that was amazing. I was like, holy cow, those are some serious bikinis there. Those are awesome.
Yeah, 4 square inches.
It takes a lot of work to make sure all the coverage is done properly. Let me tell you.
It was a fine art.
Doug, I'm so glad you could join us this evening. So guys, you're probably wondering, okay, what's up with the blue hair? Why Joan? Why is Joan here tonight? So not too long ago, and I'm going to go ahead and post it right now, I did a blog for VitalFit, the skincare company that I like to work with. And it's called Do You Dare to Bear? Okay. So some of you may know about my own personal history with breast cancer. I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2015, and I spent the entire part of 2016 undergoing multiple surgeries and multiple rounds of chemo. So some of you have heard my story, talk about it in the past. At the time, this was before I opened up my clinic. I had 4 children who were 9, 7, 5, and 2 years old at the time. So they were pretty young. So I've told bits and pieces of my story here and there throughout the time on the show. But it's still, it's been 5 years, and thank goodness all clear. But still, there's certain aspects of it that are still kind of tough to process and think about. So when I wrote this blog, I was thinking a lot about my patients when they come to see me. They ask me very normal questions like, am I going to be able to walk again? How do I use this prosthesis? But one question that sneaks in there a lot is about what should their leg look like? Should they get a cosmetic cover? And we're going to talk a little bit later on about how that question has kind of changed over the years from when I was first a therapist to now 18 years later, what people's responses are to this. So that's kind of what inspired this article, because it is something that I address with my patients. How do they want to portray themselves in public? And this is something that I had to go through as a patient, granted as a breast cancer patient, not as an amputee. So we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. Let's see. Ashley asks, do the socket socks cover up if you have designs already? I have the autism puzzle pieces and superheroes on my socket, and my special needs students chose my socket design, but would like to change it up sometime. So Joan, take that one away.
Yes. And actually, I love my socket. I had the logo put on it from my dad's boat. So I love wearing this, but I do like to change it up. The socket covers, they're Lycra. So it's like a sock. What you do, you slide it over your prosthetic, and you can slide it off within minutes. So yeah, you can change it up. You can match an outfit. You can protect if you have an airbrush design. So it's really nice to be able to protect it, but you just slide it on like this. And this is my lovely test socket. Voila.
Yeah. And guys, it fits nicely. There's no puckering. The seams are all nicely done. I mean, it looks.
People ask me if it's painted on. I'm just like, no, it's a sock.
It looks really, really sharp. So Molly says, Joan, we love your work and sharing your site with our patients daily.
Thank you.
Wonderful. And Kay also has one that's painted on. No, this concept to me, I was just like, this is awesome. This is wonderful. Wonderful. So we're going to talk a little bit about, and guys, throughout tonight, I want you to share your experiences. I want to hear from you. I want to hear about, how many of you, let's just do the first COSI poll, because there's going to be a lot of COSI polls tonight. How many of you have chosen not to have a skin cosmetic cover put onto your prosthesis? Show of hands in the comment section. How many of you have decided, so and by the skin cover, I'm talking about the ones that look just like the skin, the cosmetic skin cover that goes over the pylon, over all the metal work. How many of you have chosen not to have that done? I'm curious to see. So guys, it was interesting. So, I got diagnosed with breast cancer end of 2015. And as I was going through my very first surgery, my doctors thought that because they caught it so early, they were not going to have to do chemo or radiation. So we did the big, massive surgery to get rid of the cancer that was there. Kay says me, William says me, Michelle says me. Michelle. And the other Michelle says my son. Susan says me. Okay. So when we got the results back from the surgery, because within the surgery they had to do lots of biopsies of all sorts of things going on in there. And they realized that I was at a high risk for recurrence, meaning that there was a high risk that my cancer could come back. And I was only in my mid-30s when this happened. So they were not about to take any chances with a young mother of 4 kids. So they told me I was going to have light chemo. I love that expression, light chemo. It's like saying that Diet Coke is good for you because it doesn't have any calories. So my husband and I are sitting in the office with the oncologist, and she's explaining to us what light chemo means. And one of the things that she says to me is, you're going to probably get to keep your hair. And at that point in the appointment, I just stopped listening. I'm like, done. I can do this. I get to keep my hair. Good. And guys, at this point, I'd already gone through a lot of body changes. My body looked completely different after that first cancer surgery, after the first breast cancer surgery. And it was something that I was starting to struggle and realize and accept that this is what my body was going to look like. But for me, the thought of losing my hair was actually a lot harder for me. So when the oncologist said to me, you're going to get to keep your hair, I was like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. So a lot of times in the movies, you guys see, the person was, they'll start, any cancer patient on TV or the movies, they start their hair starts thinning out, and they wake up in the morning and there's hair on the sheets and it slowly starts falling out. And for most people and most women with the breast cancer chemo, that's typically how it happens, that the hair thins out slowly, and over the course of 1 or 2 treatments, they lose their hair. So for me, I have my very first infusion and I'm knocked down by it. And around day 10, I'm in the shower, and thank goodness the kids were at school at this point. I was taking my shower and washing my hair, and all of a sudden I look down and it's all in my hands. It was about as wonderfully dramatic as they display in the movies. It really was just a horrific moment because I wasn't expecting it. I was and I wasn't, because the doctor said, you got to keep your hair, and then all of a sudden gone. And it wasn't just a gradual thinning out, guys. In 2 days, it was all completely gone. And in the article, the blog I just posted, you can see a couple of pictures of me gone. And it was a horrible moment. It was a horrible moment. My husband, thankfully, was home at the time, so he was able to help me through it and help me kind of just pick up the mess. We have a lot of hair on our heads. We really don't realize. It was like 5 bags, guys, 5 bags. And it was really difficult because my children left for school that morning seeing me looking normal, and they came home from school that very same day and there was nothing there. And I know that for many of you, and guys, if this is ringing any bells for you in your own experiences, especially for some of you who may have had traumatic amputations, where you left your home that morning looking one way, and then hours later, you lost your limb in either an accident or the surgery, right? So just a dramatic change in body image from one moment to the next. Okay, so I'm gonna take a break here. We're gonna read some of these comments coming in. Debbie has sea turtles on hers. Brian says, my skin lasted 1 week and I went metal. Kevin says, plain Jane at the moment, waiting on my cover. Ashley says, no such thing as light chemo. They told my mom the same thing. I know, right? I'm like, light chemo? Really? Megan's like, I had light, nothing light about it. Amen to that. Robin's like, what am I saying? Robin, come on, girl. You know who I am. You know what's going on. Michelle says, I had mine shaved off before I got to the point of losing my hair. And honestly, Michelle, in some ways, I wish I would have done the same thing, because at least it would have been under my control to do it. So there was a period, and I talk about this a little bit more in the blog. There was definitely a period of mourning. For me, in my youth, much before kids, I had been a hair model. I had done commercials, hair commercials. I had done runway shows. So for me, my hair was a huge part of my feminine physical identity. It was huge.
Your person.
It was my, yeah. Mm-hmm. And it took a while, and I let the kids see me, sad. They saw that I was sad about it. And we did a lot of praying at that point. And then came the part about, well, do I wear a wig or don't I wear a wig? And a lot of the people around me were encouraging me, yeah, go get, because I had, really long dark brown hair at the time. And they go get a wig. You'll feel like yourself. You'll feel more like yourself. And guys, I tried on those wigs and it didn't work. It didn't work. And it's one of those things where no matter how good the wig is, it's never going to look the way your normal hair looked. And I hear this comment also a lot from my patients about when they see their cosmetic skin cover, sometimes, they're not happy with what they see. Joan, I don't know if you experienced this when you went through your own limb loss.
I was just thinking, I had talked to a customer, a mother of her son is 6 years old, about 3 weeks ago. And she sent me a message saying, do you sell covers for kids? And I said, yes, of course. She said her son was so excited about getting his leg. And I guess when the prosthetist said, well, what do you want designed on it? And he's thinking fish because he likes fish, but he doesn't understand designed on it. So the mom said they were so excited to get his leg, and the prosthetist came out with his leg with the fishes all over the socket. And her son just started bawling. And he said, I just want it to look like my other leg. So she said, do I sell skin-colored covers? I said, yes, we have skin tone covers too. And so I sent her down that plus a pirate one. I thought, let's help this child embrace fun. And she sent me a message. She was just in tears. She said her son put this skin-colored cover on his socket covering the fish. Mm-hmm. And I got to read this to you. It was so cute. She said he was like, people are going to think I'm healed. They're going to think I'm healed. They're going to think it's my real leg, which is, she said, which is both heartbreaking, but refreshing for her to hear. So, sometimes we just want to blend in. And this was part of his process of, he had a leg one day and no leg the next day. And he wants people to think that he healed. Anyways, I'm waiting for an update from this mother, but, you got to embrace it. But it was tough on this little boy. He just wants to look like his other leg. He just wants to blend in. And in time, I know he'll come to his new body.
Yeah. And it's one of those where there were some women that were going through similar treatments as myself, and their wigs is what gave them the ability to go back out in public and just feel normal for a little bit.
Yeah. Or just days where you don't want to talk, about your leg,
just want to be another face in the crowd.
Yeah. The opposite.
And then here's one, and this is something I've heard some of my patients also comment on. I think for me, one of the reasons I did not want to use a wig is because I knew at some point in the day I was going to have to take it off and to be faced with that reality. And I've had a couple of patients mention that they're fine during the day. And when it comes time to taking their leg off at night and they see their residual limb, that's a huge just reality check. So if anybody here is comfortable sharing these thoughts with us, we'd love to hear from you as well. So that was something that, for me, I was just like, you know what, I just need to get used to seeing myself this way, and eventually I'll just get used to it. But yeah, there were days where it's like, nope, today I just have a big neon sign over my head that says, leave me alone. Yeah. Just put on a scarf and go. So, hey, Stephen. Oh, Stephen, I'm so glad you could join us this evening. I haven't seen you in a long time. Susan says, I see the sock cover goes up and over the socket, but what if one has wear a long black sleeve as I am in a vacuum suspension and I require a long sleeve? How does it stay up with the long sleeve on?
Very good question. This is about the only time I've ever been prepared for this question. Mainly because now I have to start wearing a sleeve over my below knee prosthetic. I get it. So there's a sleeve that looks like this, and it goes over your prosthetic device, and this goes around your thigh. So it covers that outer sleeve, which is really nice. And on the inside, we have, it's called bicycle elastic. So it's got little rubber lines on it, like a garter belt. So it holds on to your leg. But this is it's a below knee sleeve cover.
I like that. And I like the pirate print on there.
Yeah, I do too.
Love it. I love
more here. But anyways, yeah, that's a lot of people get stumped on that question.
So Lori says it's always nice to have options. Chuck, I'm so glad you're joining us this evening. Susan says I'll never get used to seeing my stump every single evening when I take it off. Doug says the physical part of becoming an amputee will never change. Having a pattern allows you to express who you are and let the world know you are proud of who you become. Not for everyone, and I understand that. Hola, compadre. What do you think, man? What do you think? Yeah, and guys, and that was kind of like the realization, especially as I talked to other women going through breast cancer and just seeing how all of us processed it differently. There were some women that they didn't give three patoots that they lost their hair. They were more concerned about how their surgeries had changed their bodies dramatically, and everything else in between. So the story behind the blue wig is this. I was hemming and hawing saying, I'm not wearing a wig. And then one of my friends that I've known since we were teenagers, she had also been going through a more severe form of breast cancer. And she was going all out. She had pink wigs, orange wigs, green wigs. I mean, she was amazing. And one of probably my second cycle of chemo where I'm, flat out on the couch, I'm not moving. I hear a knock on my front door and my mom lets her in. She had driven all the way up from Fort Lauderdale to bring me this blue wig. And she says, you need a little color and a little fun in your life right now. So that's the story behind the blue wig. And I remember holding it up and, my mom's a very prim and proper, very, woman, and holding it up to my mom, teasing her saying, hey mom, should I wear this to church on Sunday? And she said, do it. So I did.
I did. Mom.
No, and it was great. It was good for the kids, because the kids obviously, mom, bald now. My mom is wearing a crazy blue wig and going to church and just having the community, having a sense of humor about it and allowing the community to join in with that. So that's the story behind it.
Yeah. It also gives people who are probably too uncomfortable or shy, they don't know what to say to you. If they see that, it kind of breaks the ice to let them kind of approach you, say, hey, I love your wig, I love your hair, and then start to build a conversation.
Yeah. And guys, how many of you, and this is one of my favorite questions to ask because I love hearing the stories. What are some of the things that you tell people when they ask you about your leg, especially when kids in public? This is the part I love to hear about. How do you answer people's questions? Do you answer people's questions, or do you say, no, thank you, mind your own business, or how do you answer when people come to you with questions? You had an interesting story of a little girl from last week, right, Joan?
Well, actually there was that little boy who said, oh, they're going to think my leg is healed. But yeah, I get approached all the time. I don't mind the questions. I think it's great when parents encourage their kids to follow through with a question instead of telling their kids, shh, no, don't talk. Don't ask her that. But yeah, I just keep it real short and sweet. My story is super long, so I condense it and just say, I was hit by a car. And then if depends on their age, I like to explain how it's dangerous to cross the street, look both ways for cars. So I turned it into a teaching moment. Mm-hmm. Don't run across the street. I was playing tag. I didn't look both ways, and I almost lost my life. I don't tell them that part. But I use it as a teaching moment, personally.
Yeah. So we've got a couple answers coming in here.
There's Johnny.
Ashley says, this past weekend I went to visit a friend in North Carolina at the beach. It was great, but I stumbled quite a bit in the sand. It was the first time in a long time I needed to ask someone for help. I was frustrated, but then friends cracked a joke as we left the beach. They didn't give me the chance to ask before they were helping me navigate the sand. Michelle says, losing your hair makes it hard to blend in, just like losing a limb. And Michelle, that's the nail on the head, because that for me took away all of my privacy. But despite what I do in the public forum every Wednesday night, I'm actually an extremely private individual, and certainly so before cancer. And cancer basically just, it doesn't allow you to have privacy anymore. Yep. It doesn't. Your body undergoes changes from day to night, night to day, and same thing as losing a limb. There's no hiding that, and it's out there for the world to see. And especially if you're someone who's normally a private individual, that can be very daunting. And for a long time, I just kept saying, I don't want to be an example for anything. I don't want to be a poster child for breast cancer right now. I just, let me finish what I have to go through and let me get through it.
Yeah.
So yeah, for sure. Michelle says, she tells people I didn't eat my veggies. I like that.
I'm using that one. Hold on.
Susan says, I answer with a short truth. Vicky says, I asked the child, do you want to feel it? I did that too. My daughter's friend came over for a play date, and I had warned the mom. I said, hey, this is what's been going on, so you can kind of prep your child ahead of time. And the little girl comes in, and she was probably 9 or 10 at the time. And you can tell she's trying to be polite. Like her eyes just start getting big, 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 because Miss Cozy doesn't have any hair, and just big, big, big. And you can tell she's holding it. And I was like, it's okay to laugh. And she just busted out giggling. And she's like, I was like, you want to touch it? Rub it for good luck. So yeah, we had all those kind of. So William says, kids get the shark story, adults get the real story.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll share more with adults.
Yeah.
And you can tell if someone's really interested or whether they're just trying to be polite, and so you just kind of play it by ear and what you think they're ready to hear, if you're ready to talk about it.
And then we said, kids are great. They're so interested. You have a bionic leg. Johnny says, I like to educate people by telling them my story and that I love my leg. Debbie says, I tell them. Ashley says, adults, I tell the truth. Blood clots. Kids, I just tell them my leg got sick and the doctor had to take my leg off so I could feel better. Hey, Kays, glad you could join us this evening. Lori says, I taught kindergarten when I lost my leg. I explained to my students that I was like Humpty Dumpty and they couldn't put me back together. I like that. That one.
Yeah, that's good.
So, and that's interesting. I was like thinking about it. And I was like, yep, the school asked me to come in and talk to kids about cancer because one of our students had gotten cancer. And so they wanted to help educate the students. And I remember having to explain to them, it was like a Star Wars fight, right? Good guys fighting the bad guys, and then good guys get caught in the crossfire. So things go haywire. And yeah, so interesting. Jesse, you crack me up, man. Brian says, I had a little girl ask. I told her the doctor fixed it. She came back to the pool 10 minutes later and said, don't worry, it will get better. That's so sweet. Kids are wonderful. Kay Levinson says, with kids, I'm more careful as I don't want to scare them that if they get sick, they'll lose a leg. So I make it pretty generic. It's amazing with kids, right? I have so many good stories about my kids during that year. I think my oldest one, she was only 9 at the time. So she was still pretty tender age and lost the hair. And I didn't find out about this until months later. But apparently she had been walking into school, and one of my friends, I wasn't around, one of my friends was saying, hey, so-and-so, how's your mommy doing? And she's like, well, she's kind of sick and she lost all her hair. And of course, my friend was just kind of like, didn't know what to do with that. Like, what do you do with that, right? Like when a kid just says it. And then apparently my daughter turned around to her and said, but that's okay. She's still beautiful. And she's like yelling this across the park. And I didn't find out about this till months later when the mom approached me and told me. And to me, it was just like how kids can process and put things together on their own.
Yeah, and it's the right age. If they're too young, I get just on the weekend, I told this little kid they asked what happened to your leg. And I said, well, I started with, I lost it. And I realized they might not understand that. How could you lose
Why can't you go find it?
Well, did you look for it? So I kind of backpedaled out of that one. You never know how they're going to react.
Yeah. And it's as a physical therapist, and my husband's also in the medical field, we have lots and lots of conversations with our kids, and no topic is off limits, especially anything related to medical and medicine and health.
Right.
This definitely, it's amazing how comfortable they can be talking and approaching people and more comfortable than adults are sometimes.
Well, that's great.
I think there's a lot that we can learn from kids in that regard. Sandra says, I see kids looking, so I offer to allow them to touch it so they won't be afraid of the prosthetic and not afraid to ask questions if they choose. Kay says, if adults ask in a rude way, I'll warn them of the bears in your Alaska yards. Otherwise, I explain. Let's see. Kenny says, I told a little girl I told a lie and it fell off after a week. Your nose is supposed to grow when you tell a lie, Kenny, not your leg falling off. Come on now. Come on now. You got to get your story straight. Kay says, any recommendations? I was diagnosed with shingles on my right stump today. Makes so much more sense with the pain I've been in last week. Oh, Kays, I'm sorry, darling. Best thing, if you've got shingles, you have got to leave that leg off and leave that skin open to air. Keep that clean. I don't know if they have you on any antivirals or anything, but definitely follow to the letter the directions your doctors are giving you. Keep it clean and keep an eye. If any of those shingles start to erupt or open up, have your doctor take a look at them. Susan says, my story is too long, so that's why people get a short truth. There you go. Linda saw Barbie and his name. Okay. Here we go. Doug says, if I have a favorite pattern or material for my leg, can it be sent to Joan to be tailored? If so, does it have to be a certain type of material?
It has to be a certain type of material. I have done this before. Someone sent me a shirt, their favorite beer shirt. Like, sure, let's do it. It has to be able to stretch. I usually say 4-way. In different directions, but as long as it stretches, send me they can contact me, send me pictures of what you have, what you're thinking of doing. And I can pretty much just look at it and determine whether we can cut it into something. But yes, I've definitely done that before. This one here was an old bathing suit. And I thought, okay, I'm going to cut this up and turn this in. So yeah, we can pretty much do anything. I'm doing this business for you. So, I try to put as many designs on the website that I think is fun. I've been told to tone it down and put more neutral stuff there, but.
No, I love the mermaid print.
I love pink. So yes, you can send me, contact me, and you can send me the fabrics, and we can definitely do some covers for you. I think would be a lot of fun.
Oh, so we got Benny says, my grandkid asked if I tell him a funny story, and he's 3 and he calls me the robot. Michelle says, my son is having trouble with the staring. He's 17 and that's so hard. Going through this as a young adult when you're in the process of being comfortable with yourself already. I try to tell him, fake it until you make it, and hopefully confidence will come with time. Michelle, I would love to recommend to you. There's a gentleman that's been on my show several times. His name is Reggie Showers. Many of you know him. He's one of our celebrities in amputee world and an absolutely wonderful human being. Long and short of it, Michelle, Reggie lost both of his legs when he was 14 years old. And this was back in the late 70s. So this was long before everything that we have nowadays and the awareness that we have nowadays. And the way he tells his story about having to be a young boy growing into a man with this disability and what he went on to do. So I would encourage you to go back to my Facebook page. There's a lot of interviews there with him. I did one at the live event. He was on my show for two days. And I think your son would enjoy hearing his story. He went on to become a world champion drag motorcycle racer. Great story for him there, Michelle. And yeah, it is hard. I think that was the thing. And the weird thing is when my hair started growing back, I actually looked worse because it's growing back in patches and you're still gray and bloated from the chemo and your eyebrows have fallen out. So it actually looked worse. I looked worse when my hair started growing back. And that's when I really felt the stares from public because people didn't realize I was sick. They just thought I looked strange. So the staring was definitely something that affected me. And even my kids would sometimes, Mommy, they're staring at us. They're staring, some days I think I handled that better than others during that time. And here's an interesting thing, guys, going back to the original part of the show, how much do you choose to show? Obviously with my head, I didn't have a whole lot of options, but with the other parts of my body that were affected by breast cancer, I'm very modest and I keep those scars covered up. And then I see other women who've had breast cancer and they do these photo shoots where they show their scars and it's amazing. So it's interesting how you can have just so many different parts of the spectrum, visible there. Let's see. Tough age. Yeah. Let's see. Kay says, I was in the shower at the local town pool. The kids in the changing room were arguing over my prosthetic legs. It started with those robot ladies' legs, and the other child yells, no, she isn't a robot. She just has robot legs.
Got to clarify that.
Oh, gosh. Okay. So Molly says, so importantly, I have young and old amputees that are going to graduations, weddings, and or work and want to change the appearance of their socket to match what they're wearing. This is where Socket Socks works for them. It's affordable and gives everybody the ability to change it up. And guys, this is exactly it. You know, if you're kind of wondering how you can represent yourself, and this is, I think it's a really great way to be able to show your personality, and it's a conversation starter. And some of the creations, Joan, do you have any of the I mean, I've seen the Superman logo. I've seen all sorts of creations.
I did one being a bikini designer and outfitting and rhinestoning bikinis for over 17 years. I thought, why not me? So
look how beautiful
rhinestoned this.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So we can do all kinds of stuff. We can put, you know, like a classic white bow tie on a black cover. Get a little create.
Look how pretty those are.
So really? Yeah, so can you do like a skin tone? Yeah, I can do skin tone, but wouldn't you like to have a flamingo on it?
No. Yes, I would. And guys, there's a lot of designs out there also for men. It's not just the diamonds and the bling, and lots of really great designs out there.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is it's a mermaid, but it's a black mermaid. Putting a pirate patch. We can put any kinds of patches on there. Pick a solid color to, if a girl's wearing a prom dress and wants to match her prom dress, you know, even for the transradial covers, you know, we can do a solid color to match anything, rose gold.
Susan likes the flamingo.
I know, isn't it great?
Joan, you want to give them a little bit of the housekeeping advice when they go to order a socket sock? There's some measurements that they need to take, right?
Yeah. So when you go to the website, first you need to determine whether you're looking for an above knee cover, a below knee cover. A below knee, if you're wearing a sleeve over your prosthetic, it's a below knee sleeve. So those are the three. We also have the transradial. So choose what type of cover. And then for your measurements. Measurements are super easy. People get, oh, well, I have to get my prosthetist to measure it for me. Maybe you don't have a measuring tool. Fair enough. But it's very simple. Like, let me just get a measuring tape here.
Yes. And it's laid out beautifully on her website, guys. There were a couple of people, and Kevin, yes, we are in the process of ordering your socket sock, Kevin. I have not forgotten about you. There's some folks who won on the live event that won themselves a socket sock. And the diagram that she has on the website is really nicely done, easy to follow.
So for measuring your socket, you want to just get a measuring tape. Let me take this off. Woo, test socket. Naked. So measuring the back of your socket, just from the top edge down to the bottom, the outside top edge down to the bottom, your front, and the other side. Those are the 4 measurements, and then your circumference. And this is for the above knee too. So your circumference all the way around your socket. Then if you go to my website, you'll see there's different sizes. On the website, we have small and medium because 95% of my customers are all in a small category. Medium usually means it's a little bit taller or a little bit wider. But if you don't fit any of those measurements, say you measure your socket, you're like, this doesn't match anything, we can still do the cover. So you just send me in the order, you can add your measurements, send me an email. I manage the website, I receive all the orders. We'll confirm everything for you, especially kids. There's no kid sizes because they're all completely different.
That's wonderful. Diana says, I love my socket socks. I have 8 of them, and they're great conversation starters and breaks the ice. Thank you for what you do, Joan.
You want to see my collection?
Oh, yeah. I want that blingy one, that bling and the flamingo.
So I have this. I have a box, and you might not have as many as I do, but I have this little box by my night table. So when I get up in the morning, I put my leg on. Most of the time, I'll pick a cover, and then I'll match the outfit to it. Sometimes I'll change it in the middle of the day, or I dare to bear, and I wear my actual socket with my dragon design on it.
Nice. Nice.
Just
So
nice to have options, you know.
uh-huh.
Life's too short.
So Susan, to measure for the below the knee, it's those 4 measurements that Joan just mentioned. And also, if you look on her website, there's a nice diagram that shows you exactly where the measurements need to be.
See if I can.
It's labeled really, really nicely done. Vicki, I told you I was going to wear it if you showed up. All right, guys. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for this evening, but I do want to thank Joan. She has had a crazy, crazy, crazy busy couple of weeks, and I just kind of sprung this on her at the last second, and you've been such a good sport about coming on board, and I really appreciate your time here tonight, Joan. Thank you.
Anything. I would do anything. You sent me that message inviting me to join you. I'm like, I'm selling a house. I'm packing. I'm moving in 4 days. We're building a house 3 provinces away. We're still in lockdown. Sure.
And I'm like, oh, I have the greatest timing in the world, don't I? So
this has been great. My husband's upstairs packing.
Keep drinking your margarita. Keep drinking.
And I got my tequila.
Keep doing it. Guys, show Joan some love. Go visit her website. Her e-blasts are a lot of fun to read. Sign up for her emails. Like I said, I don't read a whole lot of junk spam emails from different companies. I read Joan's. They're interesting to read. Love it. And guys, if you have the chance, if you don't mind showing me a little love and reading the blog, be kind, because I am not a writer.
I love that post. The Dare to Bear is a beautifully written.
Thank you. That was a fun exercise, a little therapy there for me to write that out about my experiences of losing hair and how it affects my patients. So guys, as always, thank you for allowing me to be a part of your lives this evening. We will see you next week, same bat time, same bat channel. Please send me your questions and I will bring you the answers. All right, guys, God bless.